Alrighty. So can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. So welcome everybody to the Mindset Mastery webinar. And we're talking today about unleashing and having unbreakable confidence and motivation. Because I work with a lot of people and, it's a common thing. I don't feel motivated or, lacking confidence. They're things that come up quite regularly, particularly as you venture out and try and achieve anything different, anything new, anything outside of the norm, anything beyond where you've reached before. This will come up over and over and over and over again. I think that um and it's a perspective, it's a mindset, and you can build like anything. I've been an athlete my entire life. Like anything, mindset, motivation, confidence, they're a muscle. You have to build it over time. And then it's not something you can just build up and then leave alone and think that it's going to stay that way forever. It's something you are constantly having to add to it. If you want to build a muscle, you want to build strength when you're at the gym. And I'll use lots of athlete analogies, so excuse me, but I've been an athlete my whole life, so I have heaps. And I've also been a business owner, so I'll weave both together. But I know that if I don't go to the gym for a few days, and I like go 5 or 6 days a week easily, sometimes more. So, but if I don't go for a few days, it's really hard to get back in. And I like going. Well, I don't like the pain of being there actually, because it hurts, but I like the benefit. So I'll do it anyway. Right. So I'm always chasing the benefit. Is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. Is changing your mindset, is working on yourself, is building a business, any of those things that are, when we want a better life, when we want more, it's uncomfortable. And I think too, from my experience, a lot of people think that their mindset is going to be great all of the time, right? Their confidence is going to be great all of the time. You're going to be confident all of the time. Rubbish, right? That's not true. And if you are reaching for such an unrealistic, um, you know, viewpoint or unrealistic goal with respect to mindset and with respect to confidence, with respect to motivation, then you actually set yourself up for failure because it's not real, right? Because if there's an upset in your family, for example, if someone passed away, right? You are supposed to be upset. That's normal. Now, if you were going into that and you're all smiley and happy and everything's okay, you would think that was a little bit odd, right? Right. So it's normal, and you want to have those ups and downs of emotion. Whereas emotion, it's emotion. You're supposed to feel. It's normal to have every level of emotion. The difficulty is with that is that when we have an emotion, and then we now start to paint a story about that emotion. It's what we tie to the emotion. It's what we decide when we're having the experience of that emotion that really makes or breaks our mindset, makes or breaks our confidence, and makes or breaks our motivation. Rather than the having the experience of the emotion and allowing it to have motion to flow through and to pass on, which it will, if we then get caught up in that emotion, we actually tie it down. Like we tie it down with a story and decisions, and we can get very stuck in certain emotions based off the story we're telling, as opposed to understanding that emotions are normal. It's like if you go into fear, you have a physical response when you go into fear, when something startles you, right? Your body actually produces a set of hormones. They cascade through your body, fight and flight response. Your cortisol levels go up. It takes time for that to actually, for your physiological system, your body has to get that out of you, right? It takes time for that to filter out. You have to actually allow the emotions to filter through, and you will come out the other side of them. But when we get caught up in it, we can get ourselves very much stuck in certain emotions, and that's where it becomes very unhealthy. Flip side is it's the same. If you're being positive all the time, if someone tells me I'm a positive thinker all the time, I know that they're lying, because it's not possible, right? Or I know they're actually not doing anything in their life and they really need to go challenge themselves a little bit more. Because if you're challenging yourself and you are getting out there and you are building something different, it will shake your confidence, because you're going into new areas. I went to an event this week, to, it was a business event for business expansion. You got to get up and do, your 60-second, 30-second pitch. I don't like doing that, right? Like, it's uncomfortable for me every single time, but I do it anyway because it's important. It's part of the strategy that I need to complete. One, to build more confidence. Two, to refine what I'm saying, and three, to get known. And it's part of achieving my goals. Therefore, I do it. I want to be fit and healthy. I go to the gym. Do I like it all the time? No. Do I want to eat healthy all the time? No. But do I? Yes, because I want a certain outcome. It's just as hard to eat crap as it is to eat good food. They're both the same hard. It's just you get to pick which hard, right? And but then you get to pick the ramifications too. So whatever you choose, everything you choose has a ramification. Everything you choose has a consequence. But when you just want to be in control of choosing it. So, the biggest obstacle to achieving success is often our own negative thoughts and limiting beliefs, right? Like, we all know we get in our own way of our own success. Otherwise, we would be wildly successful. We also make up an awful lot of excuses and stories and justifications as to why we are not successful, right? We know that. We know we're in our own way. Fabulous. So mindset mastery. So if you there's difference between a growth mindset and a limited mindset or a limiting mindset. They're very different. And part of that growing and adopting and learning a growth mindset is positive self-talk. How you speak to yourself. How do you speak to yourself? Like, listen in, right? And it can be really scary. Would you say that to your children? No. Would you say that to your best friend? Probably not. So why are you saying it to yourself? Be your own best friend, because if you want best friends, then you best be your best friend so you can attract other good people, right? If you're not being good to yourself, then you're probably not going to be as great to other people. People who are super critical of other people, well, there's lots of reasons they're critical, but one of the reasons, if they're critical of others, I can tell you they're 10 times more critical of themselves. 10 times more critical. The internal talk is huge. So, and positive self-talk is not standing there going, "I'm the greatest, I'm this, I've achieved $1 million." If you haven't, you have to believe whatever you're saying. So it takes time and it takes practice, and you've got to gradiently do this when you are speaking into that. So it can be something that you actually believe, or alternatively, if you're building a belief, that you are going to act on. So if let's say you wanted to be a multimillionaire and you start saying, "I'm a multimillionaire, I have built my multi-million dollar empire." But if you have not got any reality on what that is, you will just sit there in front of the mirror and call BS on it, right? Like, you're lying. So it has to be something that you can actually believe, that you have a why behind as well, and that can move you towards your goals. So if you did want to be a multimillionaire, best you do the math so you know what that will take, so it becomes achievable for you. Right, the tangibility is a huge part of mastering your mindset. If everything's just up in your mind, just up in your head all of the time, it's super difficult to maintain a good mindset. Like, pen and paper is one of the greatest inventions ever. Get things out of your head. When you are developing a cultivating that positive mindset or the growth mindset, it gives you resilience. It helps you move towards achieving your goals. There will always be challenges. Every single time you set a goal, you'll also bring a challenge in. Every time. But if you don't set a goal, you're surrounded by challenges anyway. You might as well have somewhere to head with those challenges and make it worthwhile, make the game worthwhile, because you will attract challenges anyway. You're going to attract challenges whether you have a goal or don't have a goal. And some people will say, "Oh, I just don't really want, I don't need that much. I don't want to do that. Oh, I won't reach too far." It's like, you might as well reach far, because you're going to bring challenges in anyway. I would rather play the game of trying to reach the top of the tree and face those challenges than the bottom of the tree, still face challenges and not really get anywhere, right? Like, pick your journey, pick your game, because it also makes a difference when you move into a games mindset as well, as opposed to a battlefield mindset. It makes a really big difference. Life is not a battle. You are not meant to be there battling it out all day long. That doesn't mean it's not difficult to achieve your goals. Absolutely. Otherwise, you'd be doing them. But life's a game. And when you move into viewing life in that point, like everything's a viewpoint, right? When you change your viewpoint, everything changes. So when you move into a games mindset, it makes a really big difference. And everything in life is actually a game, right? Because to achieve, and you're creating it. That's the weirdest part. You're creating this game, you're living, whatever it is right now. And you get, because if you think about life as a game, if there were no, if you were not in the game of life, you'd be sitting on the sideline watching the game. Like you're just a bystander, you're a spectator, you're watching this thing happen. Some people do that, right? They watch their life go by. Whereas if you're in on the field, right, like you're in the game, it's not a very good game. The reason that we have challenges is because if you're just there and the goal's at the other end and you can just kick the ball into the goal at the other end, you'd be bored after about 5 minutes of doing that. It's like, oh, really? Because you get it in every time. There's no opposition. There's nothing to do except kick the ball into the goal. That's not something that you will engage in for very long. Boredom will hit in. And then once boredom gets in, I reckon boredom's one of the worst emotions one can face because we can become very self destructive when we're bored. I notice most bored people go down tone really quickly, become angry. Then you go down from being angry, you get hostile, you start causing problems, down, 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 all the way into apathy, right? Real, and that can happen really, really fast. Boredom and apathy look very similar. I get angry when I get bored. I hate it, and I will do literally anything to get out of it because I know that it's a really self-destructive place for me to be. I need to bounce out of boredom as quickly as possible. So I just take action on anything towards my goals. Any idea? Yep, okay, I'm going to do that. Whether it results in a positive result or a negative result, as long as it's an action towards my goals, then I will figure the rest out. So, you know, to understand life as a game and to understand that you will have opposition and challenges, but you've put those oppositions and challenges there, and the mastery of overcoming those oppositions and challenges, that's how you're going to grow your confidence. That's how you're going to master your mindset and your motivation and your knowingness, because it's like, wow, I overcame that. If can overcome that, I can overcome anything. So, how do you actually build motivation and confidence? First, you actually need goals. You have to have somewhere where you want to head. Otherwise, you're literally a ship in the ocean with the sail up and with no one steering the ship. You don't have a captain of your ship. What happens when there's no captain? There's no one steering a ship, and the wind comes and pushes into your sails. You will literally go around in circles, right? That's what happens when you don't have a goal. So the one of the biggest questions, and I see this all of the time, particularly for women, and particularly for women when they hit certain age bracket, usually 40 plus, they then their life things start to change in your life at that point. You're in a new phase in your life. And often in that phase, a lot of women sit there and don't know what they want because they've been so busy being of service to everybody else. That demand and that level of service is dropping in terms of family or other demands. They've moved to a certain point in their career where they're going, is there more for me? They still know that they've got a lot inside and they still want to do a lot, but it's been a long time since they've necessarily stopped and go, well, what do I actually want? What do I actually want? Sit in that question, right? If you don't know what your goals are and you don't know, you sit in the question, ask it over and over and over again. Write out anything that comes up. What do I really, really want? What lights my fire? And if you can't reach for anything, can't find anything, go back to when I was really little. What did I like doing? Did you like being creative? Did you like helping others? Whatever it was, right? Like all those things, all of that gives you a really good indicator of your purpose and your why, and potentially where to look in terms of goals if you are not clear on what you want. But start with the goals. What do you want financially? What do you want health wise? What do you want In the main key relationships, in the main key areas of your life, what do you actually want? What are your goals? And write them out every day. Now, if you've got a lot going on in your life and you're in a lot of action and there's a lot of obstacles flying in, right? You might need to write those goals down more than once a day. Every time you feel you have a loss, go back and write out your goal. It will focus your mind back on track, because when we have a loss, what can happen too is it brings our motivation and our confidence down, right? We feel like we've lost something. Someone, let's say you're trying to sell something in your business and someone says no. If you don't have a multitude of people to then fall back on, other customers, right? That one no can be a big deal to you at that time. And you can lose all your confidence and you can get really stuck on the loss. The fastest way out of that loss and to let it go, because you need to let it go to be able to move on, right? Otherwise, you're going to drag that loss around with you like you've got a backpack on, and it weighs you down. Then it's to go back and write out your goals. Just get back on track. Okay, well, that didn't work out. What do I need to learn from that? What went well? What didn't go so well? How can I improve that, right? There was something that went right in it, because at least you're talking to someone. That's a good thing, right? How can you take more successful actions just to get more people to talk to? So, writing out your goals over and over again will keep you on track. It keeps you focused. There is so much competing for your attention at the moment in the media. Just day to day life. That staying on track is a discipline, right? Keeping your motivation and confidence is a discipline. So, write out your goals all the time. You will probably get sick of me hearing that. I'm sure I'll say it over and over again, but it is really, really important because it's your guidepost. Then you want to use daily rituals and practices to actually support yourself. So, you know, one of them is enough sleep, enough water, and good nutrition. Now, I speak to people all the time that I don't know what to eat. Well, yes, you do. Something, if you eat something and it makes you feel good, as in your body responds well to it, not it just makes you feel good because you wanted to eat a lot of chocolate and you needed to relieve some sort of tension, not that sort of feel good, because afterwards you don't feel good. I'm talking about actual food that nourishes you and it makes you feel good, right? If you eat a lot of sugar, then, give yourself a couple hours, you're going to feel like rubbish. If you have an allergy to dairy, if you eat dairy, you know that your tummy's going to hurt, don't eat it, right? Like, foods have a vibration. Everything has a vibration. Therefore, it affects your motivation. Why be bothered with your nutrition? Because it affects your motivation. If you drink too much coffee, right, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to crash. I don't have time for that, right? So keep on track with that. Water, you're 70% water. It's important to keep yourself hydrated. If you have a lot of toxins in your body and you're not flushing them out with water, it affects your motivation. Sleep is like a superpower that a lot of people think they can just function on 4 or 5 hours. Good luck with that. You can do it for short periods of time, but you will burn out and you cannot do that forever. So you have to work out what is you. What is you as an individual? Everyone's different. How much sleep do you actually need? Not how much sleep do you think you need? How much do you actually need? Most people, somewhere between 6 to 8 hours, right? Some people are longer than that. Some people, I don't believe that you can successfully go shorter than that. You can, like I said, for a period of time, but you will notice diminishing returns. Your motivation will start to drop. You won't be able to keep on top of your mindset. When we're underslept, it's very difficult to keep our motivation and confidence up because everything implodes on us. Daily rituals: get up, write down your goals, get out of bed on time, like pick the time you're going to get up, go exercise, go move your body, get yourself moving, eat a good breakfast, reflect on your wins. What has gone well? It's really easy for us to reflect on what doesn't go well, but we want to repeat successful actions. So if something's working well, we want to do it again and we want to do more of that. But if we're not identifying what they are, then how can you do that again? Have high expectations of yourself. Have high expectations of yourself. You can achieve a lot. That doesn't mean that you get out a big fat stick and whack yourself, when you don't do it. You've then got to work out, okay, well, I didn't hit the mark. Why? What did I miss? And then adjust. It's all feedback for adjustment. But if you don't have high expectations of yourself, you will underperform. And then you'll wait for someone else to have high expectations of you, so you get off your bum and do what you need to do. You don't need that. It should be something that is completely driven from within you. Know your purpose, know your why, but daily rituals make a really big difference. Go to bed at a decent hour. Write out a list of to-dos. Have daily targets, have a daily plan. Prepare ahead of time. All of those things make a massive difference. Who is in your life makes a big difference. Have the right people in your life. Relationships are huge. What you consume is huge. What are you putting into your mind every day? Right? What are you listening to? What are you watching? Who's around you? And if you don't have the right sort of people in your life, you're either going to have to move away from those people, but you've got to find a new tribe of the right sort of people, right? Whether that's, you know, physically, whether that's you're listening to things, whatever you can do, you've got to align yourself with people who are the right sort of people in alignment with your goal. Because it does make a massive difference. If you've got people in your environment who are continuously undermining your confidence and your goals, that is very difficult to resist that. After a while, you will start to agree with them. So surround yourself with people who have big goals, but not just people who speak big goals. You want people who are actually doing it in real life, in action, because there are people who can speak it and they say they're going to do a lot of things and they say they're doing a lot of things, or their results are stuck in the past. They have no real world results. Their results are 20, 30 years ago, 10 years ago. Too late, right? The world is changing so rapidly. Surround yourself with people who are in action and actually achieving something in the real world today, so that your whatever information you are surrounding yourself with is up to date information, because it's not the same as it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. It's just not, and it will never be. So how do you overcome fear and self-doubt? Fear and self-doubt will come up. First is to accept the fact that every time you reach into a new area and you try and expand, fear and self-doubt will come up. So we know, and I'm sure you all know, that your thoughts shape your reality. So it's a training discipline. Focus on the positives. What went well today? And it's like I said, this is a discipline, right? It's a discipline to find. And sometimes it can seem like everything's gone wrong. You have to really find those things that have gone well so that you can do more of that. Use visualization. All successful athletes visualize. So sometimes when you've had enough loss and knocks, it can be really difficult to imagine, to dream, and to visualize. Imagination is visualization. Imagine what you want. Imagine the life that you want. Right? No one can take your imagination away, and it will guide you forward. And in terms of self-doubt, so if there's a lot of self-chatter going on, you have to choose what you feed. The wolf you feed is the one that will survive. So if you are going to feed the wolf of self-doubt, it will get stronger. If you're going to feed the wolf of your goals, it will get stronger. You have to choose which one you feed. And literally, you can communicate with your self doubt. So if you've got fear or doubt coming up, communicate with it. Say, okay, I appreciate that. You're trying to keep me safe. Thank you, but I don't need you right now. It will diminish if you communicate with it. If you fight with it, if you try and push it away, and nope, ignore it, it will get louder, it will get bigger, and it will have more control. If you actually communicate with it, it will diminish and then get back into communication with your goals. That's how you're going to build your belief in yourself, because you will be at more cause. You will be at more control over your mindset. Some more techniques for building self-confidence. So identify, like I said, communicate at the negative self-speak, the negative self-talk. Write it down, challenge it. Find reasons that it's not true. Find evidence that it's not true. Communicate with it, talk with it, replace it with something else. Always setting goals. I know, like I said, I've said a number of times throughout this webinar, and I'll continue to say it. Set goals and then break those goals down, but celebrate every small success that you can find along the way, because that will give you more more motivation. When you set a goal, what does that mean? That means you need to take action on that goal every single day, because that's how you're going to get those successes. And it's a discipline. Again, it's the discipline, right? So you set your goal, you break that goal down into bite sized chunks, you take action on that goal every single day. Because we know that anything, like as an athlete, right? If I want to go to the Olympics, I train for a minimum of 4 years, more than that, but a minimum of 4 years just for that one Olympics. So that's the breaking it down, right? It's the practice into that end game that you're looking for. Make sure that you have a practice for self care. Make sure that your well being is a priority. Because if you are feeling rubbish and you are under the weather and this is a constant, or you're constantly in fight or flight, you are just literally racing around like a headless chicken. And everything in your life will reflect that, and your business will reflect that as well, because it will be everything will be urgent, and you can't differentiate between what's urgent and what's important, right? Stephen Covey talks about urgent and important. And if everything is constantly urgent, you are just stuck in fight or flight. Your whole business will be very reactionary, your life will be very reactionary, and we want to move you from being constantly in reaction to, we want you to be causing it. All right. And that takes as well, to be at cause of your life, it takes velocity and speed. Why do you want to act with velocity and speed? Why do you want to take actions quickly? Because that's how you are at cause for something. And when you don't allow a lot of space and time, this is a mistake a lot of people make, is they make a goal and then they allow a lot of time in between when they set the goal and when they take an action step or the next action step. In that space, you're inviting the devil in, right? Like you're inviting that negative speak in those spaces. So just don't leave room for it. If there's no space for the devil, if there's no space for the negative self-talk, it can't get in there. And as you then go on, you will improve your resilience and your ability to stand up to your own self-talk, because what you will realize over time is it's not you anyway. That voice is not you. You just have agreed with it. That voice is things you've agreed with, or people that you've agreed with in the past, and now you believe it enough to think it's you. It's not you, because you wouldn't do that to yourself, right? You're an infinite being. You just wouldn't do that to yourself. So, as you move on, you realize that it's not you, and it's like, well, that's not me. I wouldn't say that to myself because I'm an infinite being. I just wouldn't, right? You wouldn't hold yourself back either, but we do. So it's improving that resilience against it. Again, why set goals? A huge part of motivation, I see people get very unmotivated and lose a lot of confidence when they do not have a direction. So set your goals, it boosts your motivation, then it allows you to have that roadmap to success. And you want to make it really specific, all of those parts specific, actionable steps, not a pie in the sky goal that doesn't have actionable steps. So as you break that goal down, it's like, I want to make $1 million. Okay, I need to sell a million things to people for $1. How am I, okay, what am I selling? Who am I going to talk to first? Like, get it out there, right? Like, there's actionable steps. And motivation is the driving force. So that's what's going to keep you moving forward. But also, if you understand your goal, motivation becomes less and less of an issue, because if your goals, you get that goal right in terms of its importance to you, and you raise its level of importance and the urgency in which you need to take it and get that goal done. I go to the gym, for example, whether I want to or not. Motivation is not, I'm motivated for the goal, not, I'm not necessarily motivated by the action steps I need to take. I'm motivated by the goal. And that's why the goal is important, right? Because sometimes we don't feel like doing the steps, but you do them anyway, because then you can be self determined. To climb a mountain takes one step at a time. To eat an elephant, can only eat an elephant a teaspoon at a time, right? So it's breaking that down into actionable steps. Those actionable steps then give you wins. Those wins then propel you to do more of it and give you more confidence and give you more motivation. But thank you so much for jumping on. And at the what I would love to do is offer everyone who is listening a free one-on-one strategy call. You can just simply use the QR code, and that will link you to my calendar to be able to book in. But thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you all for joining me, and I hope that you have got a lot out of our Mindset Mastery webinar today. Thanks, everybody.